A Course in Miracles live. And today I have my dear friend Marina Colombo, who is originally from, in this world, Argentina, but we've known each other for some years. And I think among the Latin America crowd, sometimes you've got the nickname, you are David's Spanish voice. Like, even though I never learned how to speak Spanish, Marina and I have been able to merge our minds together in a collaborative way, and then suddenly, even simultaneously, it comes out. That happened a few times with different ones. Carolina Carrada briefly, but Marina and I have done it like for years now. So welcome, Marina, and we have a lot of exciting things we can talk about. But just welcome to the live broadcast.
Thank you so much, David. It feels so joyful to be here right now with you. Yeah, I feel like there's so much joy that wants to come through, and it's been such an honor and it's been such a pleasure. And I feel so grateful that the Spirit brought our paths together and to collaborate with you. It has been my biggest, pleasure, true pleasure and gift. And I'm so grateful. I remember there was a time in Argentina when I was praying to God to show me the way to truly live how He lived, just to understand what it is that there is no, I'm not governed by any laws but God's, and that I'm sustained by the love of God. And you came into my perception, and you have been such a wonderful way shower, and Jesus has used you to help me clear my perception, clean my mind. And I am forever so grateful for your demonstration, for your love, for your yes. Yeah, I think that your yes has taken me with you, and I have nothing but gratitude for you. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Well, when I think of you, I think of how willing you've been. I remember the first time I think I saw you, we were doing an online retreat, and then we were just asking if there was anybody in the retreat who wanted to go through the process of exposing and unraveling and unwinding. And there you were. You just said, "Yes, I do. I want to do it." So, with all the emotions and everything, right on the online retreat, you just came on. You were willing. You were transparent. You poured your heart out, and then that was the beginning of like really a connection and collaboration with myself and Francis and a lot of those at Living Miracles. And it's gone very deep because I used to say about Francis, I said if there was an encyclopedia and there was a topic in the encyclopedia that was spiritual awakening, they could put Francis's picture right next to it, because she was such an example and remains a huge example of not just learning some new theories or concepts, but actually taking the guided, prompted steps to go deeper and go toward the experience of the direct connection with God, to be a living demonstration. Because really, to teach is to demonstrate. So it's our attitude and our thoughts are demonstrating what we believe in every moment. And when we really put our full faith in Jesus to guide us, then it's quite extraordinary as a demonstration. And I feel like that's the way it's been with you, that from there, and I think you'd originally from Argentina, but you were over in Australia. You were more in like working more of a regular job, corporate kind of thing, and then began taking so many steps to just be guided, as Francis was, step by step, moment by moment, into what would you have me do, what would you have me say, where would you have me go, a real devotional turning over. So I would say, just along with Francis, we could put Marina right there in the encyclopedia, because in what the world would call a relatively young age and young life, you've just followed a very intuitive path of guidance and prayer, and and have been used actually in many ways, probably too many. We couldn't even count them on two hands of all the different things that you've done. Sometimes helping out with translations, huge amount of translations, helping in planning and organizing things, helping lead a Spanish ministry, leading a house, going through relationship issues and clearings, pretty much ding, 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 all across the board. You have firsthand experience at all of this. So when people invite you to teach, because now it's actually starting more what the world calls more of a teaching ministry, you're multifaceted in the sense that you come from an actual experience, not a, well, we should do this or we wish we could do this, but then you have actually walked through all these steps, and then you can just speak from first-hand direct experience. And I think that's just the most wonderful gift, that it's like it would just be an honor to have you come and teach. Or we were talking the other day how Maria Del Mar, a friend of ours who has quite a large UCDM following down in Colombia, just saw you come to her mind in prayer and meditation, and then that led to what seemed like a very orchestrated and synchronized meeting where you're both going to join together and do a whole all-day forgiveness day down in Bogota. But yeah, there's so many things we could talk about, but I don't even know where to start. There's so many.
Yeah, yes, there's so much, but yeah, there is so much to communicate that it's like, where would you have me start? But I feel like most of all is this deep experience in my heart that I'm having, where I can feel Jesus taking me to depth of mind that I have never been before. And today I was thinking about the lesson, forgiveness offers me everything I want, and it puts a sparkle in your eyes when you wake up, and another day to greet with joy. And I was like, oh my God, Jesus, yes, forgiveness offers me everything I want. Thank you so much for this path. Like, this is a course in miracles. Like, this is a path of miracles. There's so many miracles. And I could see how he's rinsing my perception. He's making it clearer and clearer and clearer. And there was one time when we were in a meeting and you looked at me and I felt Jesus talk through you. And he said, I will remove every scrap of dust in your mind, and the belief in loss will be completely erased. And I was like, oh my God, I thank you. I want that. I want that with all my heart. And he is just showing me miracle over miracle. And every day I'm waking up these days and I'm like, okay, Jesus, what do you have for me today? It's just so joyful. Like, what are you gonna show me about my mind? And what would you have me do? What would you have me say? And there is all of a series of holy encounters, one after another, and shifts, like quantum shifts in perception. Even what you said, well, two things. First of all, when I was involved last year in so many things. I had my mind in so much, social media, English, Spanish, Portuguese, Spanish ministry, and houses. And I was like, yes, I'll do it all. And I remember in my heart that I really said in my heart to God, yes, you have my all, like undivided mind. You just use me. And in that, like, there was a quantum shift. It's like, okay, now let it all go. And I was like, what? And he's like, he said through you, yeah, you're meant to teach now. And I'm like, okay, I don't even know really what that entails, but yes, again, like, yes. And it was quite rapid in a month. Like, I just, gave all of my functions to others to take on and like clean my mind. And then I was given a little glimpse when I went to Mexico City of all the miracles that Jesus had in my, like, to just wanted to wash my mind with, like rinse it so much that I went so deep into my heart. And it was like, he took me to the depths of my mind. That wasn't a trip, but he took me to the depths of love. And he's like, that was just a glimpse, Marina. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like, you're going to take me in such a wonderful ride. And I'm here. And then it has been so many miracles, so many encounters. I've been guided to go to Colombia in April. Then we're going to Chile, then to Brazil, and then to Argentina. And then, but I'm being told right now, because there's some certain steps and collaborations that are going to take place. And then I just received an invitation at that time from a lady from Bogota, and she says, Marina, I would love if you would come to my house. I can host you. You can stay with me. I'll drive you wherever you want to go. And I felt so much the invitation in my heart, and I said, okay, yes, I'm coming. I don't know how it will go. I don't know where the resources will come to get there, but I trust. And then I was feeling one day, I feel that there needs to be a one-day event. And then in prayer, while others put up their hands to be of support and be of service, we were in a meeting, and I said, I feel a whole day for forgiveness. I feel that. And then we said, okay, great, let's just schedule that day, 13th of April. We'll immerse in forgiveness and be with Jesus and clean our minds and feel the joy. And then like a few months back, I had thought of Maria when I thought, I'm going to Colombia. So I wrote to her a message saying, hey, I might be going to Colombia. Maybe we can speak sometime. And yeah. And then it stayed there, completely forgot about it. There were so many more communications and collaborations that were taking place. And then one day she writes to me, Marina, I had such a deep experience in a meditation, and your face kept coming. It was like bombarding me. You were in my mind. And I was like, okay, let's just have a call. So we had a call, which was rearranged many times. The day before, I got clear it is going to be this date, and it's going to be a whole forgiveness day. We have the call the following day, and she says to me, so when are you coming to Colombia? She was clueless. So are you coming in April? When? And I was like, yeah, I'm coming in April on these dates, and I have in mind on the 10th to do an encounter with Jesus, a Jesus a Gospel of Love session, gathering. And then on the 13th, I felt a whole day for forgiveness. And then she just looks at me wide open and just starts crying. I could feel all the love, like something major had happened, like a major shift, like another quantum shift. And then she says to me, Marina, I am in Bogota for 1 week. And that is the week that you were talking about. And I was not even meant to be there. I had organized a whole trip. My sister called me, said, no, you're not going on the trip, and organized all the tickets for me to be there for just that 1 week. And then she says, and look at this. And she shows her phone, and she shares a message that she had written to a friend saying, I will do a one-day event on the 13th, and it's gonna be a full day of forgiveness. And we both looked at each other like, oh wow, only Jesus rearranging time and space for this. Like, it just felt, for that moment of recognition, oh my God, yes, we're meant to do this together. We're meant to collaborate. And it's like, it felt so joyful, such a miracle. And also the day before, Jesus had prepared me, because I was praying about the event, and we were in a meeting about Jesus, a Gospel of Love, and the retreat that we're gonna have at the end of March at La Casa de Milagros for Easter. So we were praying about it and how to share about it. So, and I also had in mind to do a Jesus, a Gospel of Love gathering in Bogota because we're gonna launch that book in Spanish. But I was just praying about the gatherings overall. And then I started giggling and giggling and giggling. I heard in my mind Jesus says, say, my plans are greater than your plans.
Like, whoa. It's like that Bachman Turner overdrive song. You ain't seen nothing yet. Bum, bum. Baby, you ain't seen nothing yet. Bum, bum. Here's something that you'll never gonna forget. Bum, bum. It feels like your whole journey, you've seen these glimmers of feeling like orchestrations, like things are just being arranged way beyond the personal, and you're beholding and beholding. And now it seems like tomorrow you're going to be in Guadalajara speaking, the second largest city in Mexico. Then comes the event at the end of the month, end of March. It's a big Easter retreat, online and in person. I heard that people are signing up already for that, from even inside our community and outside and all around. From a friend, I think from Salt Lake City, was coming. But then right after that it's kind of like it's such a wide open thing with travels. I always felt that when you're traveling to a lot of countries, you don't even know all the invitations about where you'll stay. You had a little taste of it in Mexico City. Jesus like takes you in the wading pool and then whoosh, throwing you in the deep end in April and May. It feels like you're going swimming in the deep end, with all kinds of invitations and miracles just sprinkling and spreading, and waking up every day with sparkles in your eyes and greeting the new day. What have you got for me today? So, but it's, to me, that's just the joy of actually being a miracle worker. Like you're now, it's kind of a living testimony for, yeah, when you do give your heart and your mind over to Jesus to direct, then that's it. Then you're a miracle worker, Jesus calls it, or a teacher of God, not by credentials, not by anything in the world, but just by your faith and willingness to trust and listen and follow to the voice of Jesus within. And all those times I was speaking and you were translating, Christian was telling me that you did a gathering, maybe it was Mexico City, and you could hear my voice in your mind. It sounds like Yogananda that time when he had to give a talk in a language that in a country he didn't even know how to speak the language, and he just sat there patiently in front of the crowd until his guru at the time, who came into his mind, and then the whole talk came through in that language. And people say, that's extraordinary. That is definitely not, doesn't sound human. And yeah, miracle working is really, it's giving our mind over to let Jesus use it in a miraculous way. It's not really doesn't fit into a human box at all.
No. And yeah, the one line that he's been bringing to my mind over and over is, don't put any limits of what I can do through you, because then you won't know what I can do for you. And he's like, keep your mind really open. Don't limit yourself thinking that you have to do this personally. Anytime that I think, oh, how am I going to do this? Like my mind, I could feel it, like my mind closes down and I feel little. He's like, no, keep your mind wide open. To put any limits of what I can do through you. And yeah, that I was on that gathering and I was just praying, because my mind is so blank. Every time I am meant to speak a word, like I go blank and I'm like, oh no, I'm just gonna be sitting there like all of these people coming in and I'm blank. But it's like, oh, just don't worry. And I remember, yeah, that one was one of the first gatherings I did in Mexico City, and I was like, Jesus, what am I gonna say? And then I started speaking, and slowly, like a stream of thoughts started coming in, and then yeah, I could like all of those talks that we did, and parts and glimpses of those collaborations and things you have said were coming to my mind, and I was just saying it in Spanish. I was like, oh wow, like Jesus, like it feels like I could feel Jesus, I can feel him speaking right now, and his presence, it was so deep. And he's like, yeah, there's nothing for you to worry about. When you put God first, everything else is added on to you, and I will do everything through you. You just stay happy with me and everything will be taken care of. You don't have to worry even what you have to say or where you have to go. And that was such a profound experience. And I feel like he's building, my trust too. And he's making my step more and more certain every time I go into any new situation. I feel like I had just to be so open-minded into every meeting, every conversation that he sends me into, because I feel like I can't bring the past because I don't know what he wants to come out of it. So I just want to keep my mind really open and be shown what it is moment by moment. And the more I do that, the more I experience connection, the more I experience joy, the more I experience it's great that you don't know what to say. That's not a bad thing, that's a great thing, that you can keep your mind clean and let it be shown and the words will be delivered, and just trust in me. And then the other day I was praying, and the word that came to my mind was, oh wow, you are making me invulnerable. You are making me so invulnerable. You're showing me that my security is in you. Nothing really of this world, there is nothing really to grab on. When I try to grab onto something, it feels like it shakes, moves, and it's like, oh yeah, you're reminding me my security is on you. And then the steps become more and more and more certain every leap of faith that I take, and the miracles that come with it. And I have nothing but to say, this is such a glorious path of so many, many, many miracles. So many miracles.
Oh my gosh. I think, for many years people have said, just let go and let God, or go with the flow. But actually, I think what you're demonstrating is that when you have a heart of devotion and you really have let so many things just come in. Okay, sure, I'll say, you said yes so many hundreds of times, that actually takes you into what I call miracles are involuntary. They should not be under conscious control. Because for people, a lot of times people hear the word involuntary and they say, that sounds spooky. I don't want something or someone to be over controlling my mind. All this fear of mind control and everything. But this is actually real miracles where you're putting your mind under Christ's control, and Jesus is saying, I'll take care of everything that doesn't matter, which is basically time and space, since it's a make-believe, it's fiction. And then your willingness and your alignment and your connection is really the only thing that you are willing and responsible for. And then the rest is all handled. It almost times feels like a fairy tale, like it's very surreal to see everything happening. Every single detail is handled. Every single logistic is handled. It's almost, we could say, to the sleeping mind, it's unheard of. Everyone's like, well, come on, get back to the basics. You still have to handle things. But even with all the transportations and even an arrangement of gatherings and who you're to collaborate with and where and when, it's all part of a script that is basically, we say, Jesus arranging time and space. That's something neither of us grew up with. Our parents did not tell us, oh, you'll grow up and be a miracle worker and Jesus will arrange time and space for you. We would be like, what are you talking about? Where do you even put that? There's nothing. But you're going into that experience now. It's going before you. I also remember in the Course where Jesus says that miracles are involuntary, but all involuntary acts should be constructive. And I remember I thought constructive, he said beneficial, blessing, helpful. In other words, that's why you come under Christ's control. That's why you give your heart to Jesus and say, you direct me, because it takes away the sense of autonomy, the sense of individual responsibility, the sense of personal responsibility. That's when you can feel when it starts to come in, even a little bit of personal responsibility or control it starts to close down and shut down, and then you quickly are reminded, let go. I'm orchestrating this. I'm doing this for you. So until you actually give yourself over to that, then it just seems like pie in the sky. It seems like, oh, wow, yeah. I had an image when you were talking earlier at the beginning, like, that movie Spirit, and it was like you in the mountains somewhere on a white horse, in a white dress, and I remember when you were ordained, you had a big white, you were on the horse with the white dress, and the horse was just racing there. The wind was blowing your hair and everything, and then it's like you got lifted up off of the horse and started like soaring like you were a fairy, Tinkerbell, with the white dress, and your eyes were real big. But there's the horse. Like I can fly, like Margot Kidder in Superman when he first takes her flying. Because that's the way it is with Jesus. Just when you think you're on the white horse with the white dress, and you think it can't get any better than this, then liftoff occurs, and you go, "Oh my God!" But really, you're just beholding the miracles. It's all that's happening, and it's not anything special. It's just natural. It just feels natural to feel sparkly and joyful, and that's the best. That's the best of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I even remember last year we were we were doing a session in Tribu, and it was so beautiful because I felt Jesus speaking through you, and then there was this metaphor of the plane.
Yes, on the runway.
It was on the runway. It was like the plane hasn't taken off yet, but it's gonna lift you up, and you're gonna go straight into it. And there might be some clouds, and then he's like whoosh into the light. And I felt, that I was on the runway, and December was like going through clouds and unwinding and doing, and then it's like, okay, it's coming up. It's coming up. Like I could feel, I can feel. I don't even know how to put words in it. I just feel so much gratitude for how Jesus and the Holy Spirit are cleaning my mind and are giving me a new perception. And I could feel even when I went to Mexico City, I could feel like this is my life's purpose, and there is so much joy to be immersed in his mind, in his thoughts, and to say yes and to follow. And it's like I don't even know how to put words in it. It's like, this is my life's purpose. This is everything. There is nothing that I could want that could possibly compare to this one experience. And it's like, I want to live from this place. I want to move from this place. And when I came back, I had this deep prayer, and I was like, clean my mind from every past and future thoughts. I want to live in the present moment. And then I could feel him like respond straight away. Everything, like any associations that I had coming back from the trip, he was like cutting them. And I was like, wow, okay, this is feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah. But you're answering my prayer with no delay. Like I pray and you answer immediately. And it's like, I need your mind free from past associations, because what's going to happen next is not going to be anything that you have done before. Bring into the present. It's like, I'm going to show you from the present moment what it is that you need, what it is that you need to do, what it is that you need to say. And we saw a movie the other day that it's called Arrival. And the message that was so clear is, and you also shared this message with me when we came back from a movie. I asked a deep question, I felt, and then the phone started ringing, and I was like, and then you were like, dismiss the phone, and you answered very shortly, and you said, time is simultaneous. It's the thought about the past and future that causes the distress. And then I was like, oh my God, it's the past and future thoughts. Like something clicked in my mind. And then we watched Arrival, and it's all about time is not linear, time is simultaneous, and communication is not linear. It's in the mind.
Yeah.
And after I was watching that, it's like, yes, the communication is vertical. He is communicating, like, don't try to look for the answers in linearly, or like with from the past, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like it's quantum. It's here, like you can tap into what seems to be the future, you can tap into what you need to know, you can tap into the information. And then also in that movie she has glimpses of the future, and glimpses of through dreams or visions, and it's like it's the communication of the spirit communicating like that. And I could see all the day, like through my dreams and through the day, Jesus putting impressions in my mind. And it's like, oh yes, like the voice for God communicates with me throughout all day, and he's telling me exactly what I need to know when I need to know it. And I
Yeah.
have to not worry about anything. Everything gets handled through that connection,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
collaboration.
yeah, yeah. It's when people say just living in the moment, this is a very strong experience, that everything is simultaneous, and all that you need is given in that rich, glorious moment through that connection to Christ and to the Holy Spirit. So it's like then you can, it's like the mind is then freed up from past regrets or past worries and concerns or future worries and future plans. Even the whole idea of planning, it starts to shrink the whole idea of God's plan down into the moment. Because I know, tomorrow I'm going to show a movie in the morning with Gandhi and Einstein, Freud, C.S. Lewis, and commentary from Jesus, and yet God's plan is not this big, long, linear thing. It's actually following the joy and the guidance in the present moment. It's like that's really what the plan is. It's not a past future thing. We think of plans as timeline things, but it's not really a timeline thing at all. It's just connection. And I think too, what I've noticed over the years is I remember, for example, back around 2004, 2005, when I started going to South America. I went to your country first, Argentina, back in 2003 in March. But when I started going to Colombia, and from my trip to Argentina, I started going to hundreds of Course in Miracles groups, UCDM groups down there, and it was like 95% women at these groups. I said, interesting. The more time I spent with the women, though, I found that they were very tuned in, and let me just say, with their emotions. And I was kind of just marveling at how delightful that felt. I mean, I was the parable of David from the United States, and shy and more reserved. I would say when I was teens and 20s, I was quite out of touch with my emotions. But this was like a striking example when I was there, that these were groups of women that were drawn deeply by Jesus into spiritual awakening, and they would meet with each other, and they had gone into very deep connections. I would say connections of the heart and the mind. That they were. It was even transcending their relationships with their partners, with their children. They were on this deep journey, and I felt that with you over these years is that, sometimes people think of it more of as a curse, because when you're so in touch with the emotions on the surface of consciousness, it's like riding a bronco or a bull. It's like you're at a rodeo, and the emotions are intense. When the unconscious emotions are coming up so quickly and you are aware of them, meaning not repressing and denying, then I think it brings a huge speed up, a celestial speed up. That's the feeling I had when I first went down there. I went, it feels delightful to be part of all this, because it was a reflection of my own heart opening up and my own sense of getting in touch with the emotions, and how the faith and trust expands much faster. Because if you don't expand in faith and trust, you feel like you're going to get thrown off of the horse or thrown off of the bull right away, because the emotions are too intense. So I know for yourself, through in community with different configurations and houses. Our friend Vicky one time said something like, "Oh, that's my worst nightmare, was to be in a house with a whole group full of Latin women." But actually, there's a blessing even you can see in that the reason it was the worst nightmare is because of the emotions. It's just all on the surface. So I think that's one of the things that you can bring when you are shining the light and sharing, is you're bringing a practical demonstration of it's okay to be in touch with those emotions, to not push them away, deny them, try to brush over them, because everyone on the planet has tried those things. And tomorrow's movie with Freud, he had a lot about repression and denial and defense mechanisms. But honestly, I think that is one of the great strengths that Jesus can use for authentic healing, because there's huge transparency that comes when you're allowing your mind to be in touch with those emotions. It also allows you to be in touch with the love. You pretty much is saying, okay, whatever it is, come on in, come up, we'll deal with it. But then when you do that a lot, it clears pretty quickly, and then you get this indescribable sense of love that we say sparkles. It sparkles on your eyes because that's it. So this is the living demonstration of what it really means to be a miracle worker and a teacher of God. This is not some kind of phrase or some kind of thing that you put a signature on your emails, or Marina, Colombo, miracle worker. No, this is an actual experience, and we take off the limits. Jesus said in the 50 principles at the beginning of the book, miracles enable you to heal the sick and raise the dead, because you made sickness and death and can abolish them both. Okay, we see there's really no limit to the power of Jesus and the power of the mind when we give ourselves over to it. That's what makes it really an adventure. We could call it a great adventure. I mean, truly, not going on roller coaster rides or dramatic relationship adventures. Those really are not always the most wonderful things, but the miracle is wonderful, and it is truly an adventure of trust in the present moment.
Yeah, I can agree to everything you said. And yeah, for me it has, and it's a very emotional, like I feel like I feel everything. And at the beginning it felt so uncontrollable. I remember that when I moved from Australia, I felt very strongly that I had to let go and move to Argentina. And then I just I was in my parents' house and I had a bedroom, and I just was in that bedroom for a whole month, just allowing myself to completely collapse, allow all of the emotions up, and cry and cry and cry and cry. It felt so freeing, though, to be able to allow myself to do that. And I felt like you described it the same way sometimes, that you felt like you cried for the whole world.
Yeah.
And then like that, and then I was praying, like, show me the way. And then I go into that online retreat, and I was going through so many emotions, and I was like crying in the middle of the retreat with everyone. I was like, okay, I just did that. And then coming here, and I could feel like I couldn't hold it. And I just had to allow myself to be so authentic. But I can feel even now that when I feel like something is like, I feel the natural state I feel is a wide open heart. And then when I feel like something's closing down, it feels death. And this feels like being vigilant on my mind, feels like life or death, either alive or I die. And then when I die or feel like I'm dying because I have believed in a thought that is unreal, then it's praying so deeply to be shown what I have repressed. And then the line that's coming to me too Do you want to see what you have hidden because it's the truth, or do you want to see what?
Less than answered question.
Yeah.
Do I want to see what I deny because it is the truth, the
Yes,
light?
yes, the light. So it's like behind whatever belief you had, there is the light. And there were some situations where in Mexico City, for example, where I was feeling happy, feeling happy, my heart wide open, and then I felt like it started contracting, and I was like, oh no, like this is the difference between life and death. And then I was with a group of people, and then I was praying to Jesus, Jesus, please open up my heart or show me what this is. And I said it out loud, the prayer. I said, I'm not feeling good right now. They could see it. I can't
Yeah,
pretend
yeah.
my face, and
Transparency, right?
they're like looking at me, and I'm
Are
like,
you all right?
like, what's going on with you? And I'm like, oh, and I was like, oh, Jesus, no, I'm supposed to be the light of the world. And now, like, I'm not feeling like the light of the world. My heart is contracted. What's going on? And then I just said this prayer of like, well, just show me like I'm here. And then I heard it so clearly in my mind. Don't be content for future happiness, for it's not your cause reward, for you have cause for freedom now. And I was like, oh, like I could be free of this right now, but actually I'm afraid. Like I was just praying, oh, show me in the future.
Someday, please, someday.
And he's like, oh, don't hide it from me right now. And I'm like, but this group of people like now is like, yes, now. And then I just started sharing the thoughts that I had, and most of them were loving thoughts, but like being embarrassed about them or shameful about them. And
Yeah.
and then I just started sharing and started crying, and then whoosh, like you said, like all the love, like in the moment I could feel all the love in this place, like coming towards me and through me. And I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Like you're only asking me not to hide anything from you and just to be really authentic. Like I don't have to be a certain way except be with him and allow him to clean my mind. And then there was another situation too where someone was gonna leave, and then and I was gonna, like, we met for a collaboration, and then we were guided different ways. And then we were meeting, and we didn't know how we would spend the day, so we joined just to see how we would spend the day. And he was being guided to spend the day in some direction, and it seemed like another direction for me. So I just prayed, and I was like, oh, if this is the last time we speak, like I just want to get really in touch and give something that's real. So at the beginning, I just started sharing my gratitude for him and the collaboration we just had and the miracles that we experienced together. But then he said, I love you. And when he said that, I heard it in my mind, and it was very deep experience, because it was so strong. It's like, I don't believe you. And I was in shock. I was in shock when I heard that voice in my mind. And at the beginning, I couldn't speak. And then I said, actually, what's actually happening through my mind right now, I'm feeling quite closed, because I heard this and I think I believe it. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And then I said, actually, I feel like I'm getting in touch with loss. And like, yeah, I feel like I'm losing something right now. I feel like I could lose love. And then I allowed myself to really feel what I was feeling, and a lot of emotion came. And the wonderful thing is, like, it came, and then I could feel all the love of God, like swirling into my heart, and I could, like, it was like blasting, and I was just thinking, this is so holy, and I could feel that it was felt. And then he started crying. I was like, oh, like the moment that the love rushed in, like it's like this glorious experience of love, and I was like, wow. And he's like, yes, loss is impossible. I told you I would remove any scrap of belief that loss is impossible. And then the wonderful thing that happened, it was a quantum shift too. I have in this casita, there is the bathroom, and there used to be mold on the bottom part of the bathroom. And when I moved to this casita, I was like, hey guys, there is mold in the bathroom. Maybe it can be cleaned sometime. But it was taking time, and it was not being cleaned.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's going through its process. And then the following morning, I received a text message, Marina, their casita, the mold is gone. It has been cleaned. It's all replaced. It's sparkling new. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, Jesus, what is that? And he said, I told you I was going to clean your mind from the belief you lost. I was like, oh, wow. It controlled my mind. Like,
Right, symbolized in a bathroom with mold. Jesus is so practical. Like, now it's gone. I told you I would clear it away. Yeah, it's funny too, because it's like with different things, phases you go through. Like, you've done counseling, you've done mentoring. I know, you were there even when we were starting to get into Thinkific platform, and then, I'll do a Spanish one, huge, but I have to learn it first. Oh, the Portuguese need help building a Portuguese platform for Brazil. Oh, I'll get to that. As soon as I learn it in Spanish, then I'll be able to actually. So it's kind of like step by step. There's so many things where you're just willing to dive in with your whole heart. Then you're able to teach what you would learn, and actually you can give it. You feel like, oh yeah, you have to have it in experience before you can truly give it away. And then maybe we could talk a little bit about guidance, because that's always, people are always asking. You could do month-long retreats on one topic on guidance, because that's where the spirit filters through the ego belief system and gives you practical things to say and do, and arrangements. And it's really Jesus orchestrating it all, but it's very important. And I think with all these trips coming up, to Bogota and Chile and Brazil and Argentina, there's people would say, well, there's a lot of logistics in that in this day and age. There's flights to arrange, and there's hosts, and I remember all the years, huge communications, because sometimes you're communicating with hosts, and the hosts say, I'm afraid of hosting you. I'm afraid to have you in my house after you've just spent 2 weeks setting up a gathering. But maybe we could just take it down to even like with the flights, because it does take great prayer and patience to let all things kind of click, almost like a Rubik's Cube, that you just have to allow it to go ding, 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 and then it's there it is. Oh, it's lined up. The sides are all different colors, and it's all untangled. It's lined up. But how was that experience for you? This is quite an extensive travel coming up after Easter, and so you probably had patience involved in that. You probably had a lot of communications involved in that. It was probably learning to really step out of the way and let clink, 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 let everything kind of show itself. Because when people say, what is this stuff in like lesson 135, a healed mind is relieved of the belief that it must plan and don't activate the past or organize the present, plan the future. Those are really high standards and ideals. Like, how do you take a trip that involves countries and continents without all this planning? Because many people feel like their minds are stuck in planning mode. But that's more using the past to plan the future. And this is more opening, like wide open to the simultaneity of the moment, and then just seeing what shows up, and then being willing to accept it and say yes when you need to say, oh, yes, I confirm this and that. How was that whole experience for you with these upcoming travels?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the one lesson that was coming to my mind, especially after the retreat, the time I spent in Mexico City, was that lesson. If I defend myself, I am attacked. And I felt Jesus saying, be really open-minded, and you will be shown. And at the beginning, we were praying, and it was like, oh, I feel Brazil and Argentina, but it was just a feeling. And then starting communications, not knowing exact dates or times, maybe having a rough idea, then just putting it out, because I wasn't even sure if I would go to Argentina, or how it would happen, where the resources would come, or the timing, exact timing of it. But as I put it out, someone just reached out and said, Marina, whatever you need, do you need flight tickets? And I was like, oh, okay, like, that's obvious. Like, I don't need to figure it out. It was a feeling. And then, it's confirmed. Okay, I feel like I need to go to Argentina. And then the same thing, like with Colombia, I received an invitation from someone to stay in her house, and but she was like, I'm open whenever you feel, for how long you feel. And but it was such a heartfelt invitation. I felt, oh, I feel like I need to go to Colombia, but again, I have no idea exact dates, and I don't have the resources. Where would they come from? And then I started moving in that direction of looking into possible dates for Colombia, and Argentina, but nothing was quite landing yet in terms of timings. And then I received a message from a lady in Chile, and she says, Marina, I would really, really, really love for you to come to Chile. And I was like, oh, that was out of the box. I did not have Chile in my mind at that stage. But she said, but I don't have any course groups or anything, but I just really feel it in my heart. And I said, thank you so much. I feel your heart, and I will leave it to prayer and see how it evolves. Then a few days happens, he writes to me again, I really feel like you need to come to Chile. I'm like, okay, Jesus, if you want to come to Chile, you have to make it really obvious. You have to provide like a clear invitation to extend, or why would you want me there, or how would the resources come? And then I received another message from a lady that has all these course groups. Oh, I think you froze.
Yeah, there we go. We're back.
Okay. And then she says to me, Marina, I live in Chile, and I have this group that is called Tertulias with Jesus. It's like a gathering with Jesus. And I was praying, and she was saying, I feel like I need to invite someone. And then you came to my mind so strongly, and I feel like you need to be here for our next one. And I don't know, this is an idea. And then I also have course groups, and I would love for you to join all of the course groups and be here. We would love to have you. And I was like, oh my God, okay, I feel this now. Like, I felt like Jesus is inviting me to the table. And I was like, yes, I go. I don't know how it would all flow. And then I said, well, I would need plane tickets and the resources for me to travel there. And she said, leave it with me. I'm going to talk with the group here. And then they talked, and then it's like, yes, we'll organize all the gatherings. We'll use those gatherings to fly you over. Just come. And I was like, okay, I'm going to Chile.
That one popped up. It wasn't even on your radar screen at the beginning.
No.
Yeah.
So it's just being open and being shown, okay, here and here. And then it became clear, okay, I have 2 months, because it was felt that June, July, we will be doing some Spanish. It's not announced yet.
Vivo de Cristo, maybe Mystical Christ Academy. I just saw Adela today writing, when there was a post out for the English one that's coming out, already out for April and May. And she was like, it was in Spanish, so I had to go to my Google Translate. She was saying, what about Espanol? What about Spanish? So I typed into her, yes, keep an eye out, keep watch out for June and July. But yeah, I like that it shows how that the script is written and that everything is taken care of. So most of the times when people think of a trip, they think of having to personally figure it out and make all the plans. Over the years with Francis, Francis became kind of like Trinity in the Matrix movie. Can you fly such and such helicopter? Just a moment. The one she actually had a download for where we would go and the flights we would take for an entire round the world trip. We had just gone around the world. We were in hotel in China, I think in Beijing, and we were just in there. She prayed. She booked all of our flights for the whole trip around the world after we just had come around the world. And I think that's what you're showing here is when people wonder, how does this guidance work? It's like we can't really, we can have ideas in our mind of directions, but we can't really know. Like Chile just popped in there and came in very strong. It reminds me of one time when I was going to Europe, and I knew I was going to Europe, but somebody wrote to me and said, I'm the only person in Brussels, Belgium, that studies the course. I'm the only one in the country of Belgium that studies the course. And I was like, The next day, that was a woman. Then a man wrote the next day and said, I'm the only student of A Course in Miracles in Belgium. And I was like, so I said, I think I need to write. So I emailed them both, and then they met with another woman at a restaurant. And then what unfolded was a gathering at a farm in Belgium where people from like 7 countries came. It turned into this massive outdoor event at a farm with farm animals and us talking about Jesus. It was like Pentecost, it was just, but it started with 2 individuals writing to me on consecutive days saying, I'm the only person in Belgium that studies the course. The next thing that came back from them was, we want you to come here. And they said, we have just one question. And the one question was, can we keep you to ourselves, or do we have to share you? And I wrote back, share. And they went, discovered other course groups, and then the whole gathering were from 7 countries, Germany and Austria, all over they came. But that's what I think is the important message, is that we're not in charge. When you're a miracle worker, you're just willing to connect with Jesus and be used. And then everything just flows from that, like the whole trip. I mean, every aspect. And there's still some aspects, probably maybe with Argentina, that is still more morphing, and you don't know exactly, but that's down there a ways. So you don't really, it hasn't morphed yet, but you don't need to know what it will be, because it's out of our hands, and happily it's out of our hands. It's a struggle to try to plan things way in the distant future when we really aren't meant to do that. We're just told. I think one time I just completed a big conference in the United States with 500 people, Course in Miracles conference, organized by Tony Ponticello. And as soon as the conference was over, they were doing them then like every 2 years. And as soon as it was over, the next week, I got an email from Tony saying, okay, we're doing it in such and such a year at the Holiday Inn. And it was like 2 years in advance. So I just prayed to Jesus and I said, what about this thing? And he said, say yes, I'll arrange everything. And I'm like, it's 2 years. And he's like, say yes, it's part of my plan, and just say yes, keep saying yes to my plan. So, in the end, we start to realize it's fun because we're not personally in charge of anything. We don't even have to have personal responsibility, because we're really responsible for our state of mind and being happy, but we have to be so surrendered to be happy. There's just no way to try to take the reins back and maintain the happiness.
Yes, that's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And looking now as how it has gone with guidance, and I just feel so grateful, even for, when I felt the invitation, when I was praying in Argentina, and I was like praying to Jesus to show the way, and we had that online retreat. And then the invitation came like, oh, Marina, well, we will have a retreat in 1 week. Maybe you want to come and serve and, live how we live and stay in a devotional state for a month. I was like, okay, and like, I'm willing. I felt it like throughout the whole retreat. It had been so healing. It had been so deep for me. I felt such a deep resonance. And I feel like this is where the Spirit is guiding me to. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm jumping. I don't know what I'm saying yes to, but something feels very deep, and I feel like I need to follow it. And I had to book the tickets the following day just to be in time for the retreat. That this was on a Sunday, and the retreat started on the Friday. And I was in Argentina, and then I said, I prayed with Pete in the community,
Yes,
and
yes.
he was like, yeah, book the ticket, it feels good. And then I tell my family, I'm going to Mexico tomorrow, and they were like, what? Like, what are you doing? Are you crazy?
What got into you, Marina?
Like they just went on a holiday. They just arrived. I'm like, I'm going to Mexico. I'm like so out of party, so out of blue, and it's like all the thoughts were like, yeah, how are you gonna leave? Where are you going? And I'm like, I don't care. I'm going. My way is set. And then I've been here, and wow, it has been such a blessing. I feel like, yeah, like miracles are everyone's right, but a purification is needed first. And I didn't even knew what needed to really be purified in my mind. I didn't even know how to solve it or how to clean it, but I had so much like that needed purifying. And I felt, yeah, for example, I was so shy. I like I was so embarrassed to speak. I felt like I have nothing to say, but something in me like felt like there was something that wanted to communicate, but I always felt so shy. And I was like, I don't know how that ever would be healed, like, or things like I used to, love traveling, like, but going out and restaurants, and I think I'm like, how are you gonna undo like my desire for the world? It feels like very sticky in my mind. Like, although I feel like I want God, I still have all of this stickiness there. And then realizing, like, being here and allowing myself to be used, the blessing I received by being used, by saying yes to whatever was asked of me, cleaning, like cooking, translating, and then and even when there was simple tasks, that's what I needed. Like, that's what my mind needed. And when my days were so full with so much communication, that's exactly what I needed. Or when the translations came, I felt like I needed all that truth to come into my mind. And then realizing how it has, I felt, yes, deep emotions, like, hey, like I was in a washing being clean and still am, but a very deep, like, I needed a deep rinse. And
Yeah.
I felt like I've been in a deep rinse and purifying. And I used to translate you, and you would say, forgiveness offers everything I want. You have sparkly eyes. And in those moments I was translating, and I was happy when I was translating, but then I would cry, like, so many emotions coming by. I was like, when will I have sparkly eyes?
The backlash, ego backlash after the translation. Oh my gosh.
But yes, it's like, every step, like, it's a guidance. Like, every step was so guided, and not even knowing. I don't have to know how to forgive. It's his job. I just have to be really, really, really willing, and then follow the steps and allow myself to be used. And then also realize, at the beginning I felt that I was the one doing it, but being really willing, even though I felt I was the one doing it. And then reaching a place in my mind, I remember there was the pandemic.
Yeah.
And that was, just recapping a little bit, that was very important too, to really follow guidance, because I was guided to go to Australia, unpack everything, pack everything, or give away everything, or sell it. And Jesus said 2 weeks. And I thought he was crazy to go for 2 weeks and undo everything. But I went there 2 weeks. Like, the first one, I did everything in the first week. The second week, there was a relationship and something like that I needed to let go of in my mind. And then the second week was to let go of that relationship. Then I fly back, and then boom, pandemic. I
Yeah.
was like, whoa, like the instructions are so specific. But then if I follow it, I really receive the blessing of following to the T. I even remember calling you from Los Angeles. Oh, maybe I can stay here. And you were like, well, maybe just come to Mexico and be in another house. And I was like, no, I didn't undo my whole life and left everything go just to be nearby. I really want to dive in. And then I started diving in, and all the rinsing that came through that era, but how much I was used. We were doing online retreats, we were doing movie workshops, we were doing online gatherings, and yeah, I was put in a leadership position, leading like the Spanish ministry, and I was with both Annas, and it was I felt like I had given my full heart to it, my full yes, but after a year, I could feel like my heart calling, I need rest, I need rest, I need to let go, I need to let go. And in that prayer, it's like you're like, okay, that's it, no more Spanish retreats by themselves, they're gonna be combined with the English ones, and movie workshops, yeah, combined with the English ones, they're gonna be simultaneous translations instead of consecutive. And then I could see, wow, that was a deep undoing, because in that, yes, you can use me. I had attached Marina, like what I do is where my value is. And what I do is actually what brings me joy right now. And in that moment, but my heart was saying, let go. And then the steps were given to let it go. And then the liberation that happens, the healing that happens, the letting go that happens. It's like, oh, and then love comes rushing in, like rushing in, like, I love you. Your worth is established by God. No, it's not established for what you do or what you say.
Yeah. You kind of undid the whole spiritual self-concept thing, because you said yes 1,000 times and were so willing, and then felt it's time to rest and let go, and then quickly, very, very quickly, things were shifted. We went from having kind of a Spanish ministry, a Portuguese ministry, and an English ministry to, okay, we're just miracle workers for God, and those are just symbols in languages. And now with this trip you're taking, here we are doing this whole talk in English, and then when you go to Guadalajara tomorrow, it probably will be in Espanol with a lovely host. And then when you go to Bogota with Maria Del Mar in Espanol, Chile, Espanol, Argentina, Espanol. But Brazil is, we do have friends, Dianita, who's quite quite skilled trilingual. But then you're really just going to shine your light, just to be there and probably be translated into Portuguese, into Brazilian Portuguese. So it shows you how all it is about the big yes. But it's like an old country song by Kenny Rogers. You got to know when to hold 'em, card game, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your winnings when you're sitting at the table. Time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Jesus is basically dealing it moment by moment. And we just have to keep saying yes to whatever is given us. And that is, to me, the surrender. It's letting go of the past. It's letting go of the ego. It's letting go of control. It's letting go of autonomy. It's letting go of personality traits. It's, anything. We both were kind of shy at the beginning and a little embarrassed. And then now we're kind of being used as these puppets are kind of mouthpieces. And we just said yes. This was not part of a plan. Neither of us were thinking, oh yeah, I'll draw out my life plan and I'll travel the world and I'll speak in different countries. No, nothing like that. Jesus said, don't let the one hand know what the other hand is doing. Well, we're seeing that on a daily basis, that miracles are completely involuntary and joyful. And this is mysticism too. I mean, maybe you can share a little, because just like with Francis, you had a career, you weren't even in your original country. You had a career and a life going down in Australia. It was in the Sydney area. You had that whole thing going, and then back over to Argentina for all the tears and all the purging and healing, and then quickly online, and then a flight to Mexico. But, mysticism is really not so mysterious when you actually pray, listen, and follow. It's just like it's a given. It's a natural movement. It's not some kind of mysterious, strange thing. And sometimes I've heard people say A Course in Miracles is not a mystical path. If you believe that, then that will be your experience of just studying a book for maybe 30 years and intellectually bantering concepts around. But this is actually a living experience of the Christ. That's beside the mystical Christ here, where we have all these online courses and all these events going and things. But actually, this is an actual just expression of living a life of mysticism. And I guess our message is it's extremely joyful. Our eyes do sparkle, and don't be afraid of it. It's only the ego that's afraid of the mysticism. It's not who we really are. Who we really are is the mysticism. It's the spirit. So it's beautiful to be used in this way.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. I feel, like every word that Jesus speaks through A Course in Miracles touches straight into my heart, and it's an actual experience of feeling God's love, and by following his guidance, seeing how he is rinsing my mind, he's freeing me from old beliefs and giving me a new perception. And as it's getting cleaner and cleaner, like the awareness of him becomes more brighter and brighter and brighter in my heart, in my mind. The love, the peace, the joy becomes more consistent as I say yes to the practical steps that are given me. And I feel, I don't know the way to you, God, but you do know the way to you. So I will just pray and listen and follow, and then you'll show me. And I don't want it as a concept. I want to put every word to the test, and I want to know, and I want an experience, and then finding that it's true. Like I am safe and I am loved, and God loves us so much. He wants to give us everything, and every moment he's just telling me, I love you. What comes over and over again, like all of these travels, all of these trips, it's like, it's not about that. It's about I love you now. Like Jesus told Helen, it's not about A Course in Miracles, but it still felt like for her, she still had to type it down, but it was not about producing something. It was a letter of love from God and Jesus to our hearts, to who we are. And I feel like every step that I'm given is Jesus saying, I love you. And every miracle that I behold is him saying, I love you. And it feels like he's changing my perception, arranging the perception over and over and over again. And I feel like I was mistaken over and over and over again. And it's so joyful to have been wrong so that God can show me like who he is and who I am in him. And the one thing that was also coming to my mind right now is the movie that has been so present lately, and it's Needle in a Haystack.
Oh, yes.
I even remember the first time you showed it, because the first time you showed it, you were, exhilarant, happy, and you said, enough of diddly-dallying with concepts. You had followed me enough already. You have followed the teachings. Now it's time for joy. Now it's time for ecstasy. And I was like, in Spanish, now it's time for joy. Now it's time for ecstasy. And I was like, oh my God, you're taking me somewhere here, like into the present moment with you, when you were so joyful in that experience. And it has been coming to my mind that movie is all about, the quantum shifts and the arranging of perception in time and finding the love in the acceptance of the present moment. He was trying to find it in circumstances, places, people. And then their lesson was, it's not in them, it's in the acceptance of the present moment, and irradiate the love, irradiate the joy from that acceptance, and you bring it to where you go. You don't find it outside yourself. Yeah, it's such a beautiful quantum movie, but yeah, it's
That's perfect for anybody who's watching this and thinking, wow, this sounds wonderful, but I've got some pretty serious relationship issues that are bogging me down. Then they can just go to mwge.org and sign up and go to Needle in a Haystack. And was it what was the title? Needle
yeah,
Needle in a Haystack.
needle in a
Haystack.
no in a time needle in a
Time,
time
something
stop,
like that.
time stop, time
Yeah.
stop.
It was a play on the word needle in a haystack, but a needle in a time stack, because it's about collapsing time into. I mean, people say that sounds kind of interesting. Quantum relationships, like you mean like Einstein and quantum physics comes together with interpersonal relationships? Yeah, oh yeah, and it's joy because it's being in purpose in the moment and taking away all those past thoughts and those future expectations and being just carried in the love of God. But that just shows you how practical this is. There's so many different resources and tools that are just there. All you have to do is just type something into Google and they come flying all over the place. But so tomorrow, let's see, you're going to Guadalajara. What time is your gathering tomorrow?
At 4 p.m.
4 p.m. Okay, because we've got a pretty interesting movie. I was talking about it today. We're going to look at Gandhi, Einstein, Freud, and C.S. Lewis, all with clips and movie clips, and then Jesus's commentary. So you'll be there for that. Then you get to launch down to the second largest city in Mexico for your first gathering like that in Guadalajara. So it's just. It's full speed ahead.
Yes, quantum.
Quantum. It's quantum physics, baby. Love radiates undefined. Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, because I feel like I also put your name in the title of this live, and also down a little bit below in the description, I put a link to your Facebook page, which is kind of nice. Facebook, you can just message somebody. So here you're experiencing Marina speaking English and sharing from her heart very fluently and articulately. And then I know we have some friends from Espanol that will want to get this and I want to put subtitles. Where are the subtitles? We usually get, but I think, if you want to invite Marina to come and shine your light, Europe, Africa, you name it, Australia. Haven't been to Australia for a while. The pandemic's over. Just write to Marina and just say, wow, I like your sparkle. And I would love to come and have you sparkle all over us and share some of your sparkle. Then do it. Just invite her. And it's really pretty wide open, because we do have our Easter retreat coming up at the end of this month, which still there's spaces open for in-person. You'll be speaking, sharing lots of things at that event, and then taking off for this big trip to Bogota and Chile and Brazil and Australia and Argentina. And then I think probably it feels like you'll be involved in the June, July Spanish Mystical Christ Academy, because it's going to be the first one in Spanish, and it's something that you've poured your heart into to set things up, Tribo de Cristo and the whole thing. But then who knows, maybe there's been a little bit of talk of maybe having perhaps an event at the end of July, at the end of that Spanish Mystical Christ Academy. And then, it's up. Jesus, you're just open to accept invitations. So if anybody's watching this and you feel to just go to Marina's Facebook page, just go down to the description, go there, message her, and she can handle the messages pretty much in any language, but it's mainly Spanish and English without all the Google Translate. But so just thank you so much for coming on and sharing your heart. And wow, things are moving so fast. It is quantum. It's just all feels like it's all in this moment. And we were feeling all of it right here and right now. And I'm so grateful, just so grateful for you in my life and all the blessings you've bestowed on myself and everyone, and pouring your heart in it. It's like Saint Marina. I don't even know if there is such a name in history, but here it is now. So you're like Saint Marina, just shining your light and your love, and yeah, everybody, the angels are just with us.
Yeah. Thank you so much, David. It's been such a joy to share this moment with you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I have nothing but gratitude. Thank you.
Beautiful. Okay, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this little holy encounter, this blast of holy encounter, and it's been a joy. God bless. Have a beautiful day.